Welcome to Her Success Matters, a podcast exploring how advisors can work together to build a pathway for women to succeed in financial services. I am your host, Christine Shaw, CEO of Envestnet News. This podcast will give you a rare insider access to the top financial services executives who are taking action to break down the barriers for the next generation of female advisors. Welcome to Her Success Matters, a podcast that helps women build a pathway to having a more successful career in financial services. I am your host, Christine Shaw, Chief Executive Officer of Envestnet News. In this episode, I am joined today by Andina Anderson, Executive Managing Director at Envestnet, one of the largest technology providers in our industry. Welcome, Andina.
Thanks so much, Christine. I'm really excited to be here with you today.
Well, you certainly have had an accomplished career and have stood behind a lot of success and building success in women in this industry. So for that, I'm really grateful for all the work you do. Today, I would love to explore and cover the topic around financial wellness. This has been a hot topic in the industry for the past several years, but really from your perspective, what is financial wellness and how can technology help?
Yeah, absolutely. It is such an important topic today. And I think even especially so with our current environment and how we've seen some of those things changing. For me, in the way that our company really thinks about financial wellness is being able to allow all individuals to have confidence in their financial situation, which it could include many different aspects of their life, to have the confidence to be able to go through any type of financial crisis or any change in their lives with an understanding of how that's going to impact their financial situation. And that's both for today, but also for the long term, so that they know that the decisions that they make can ultimately impact what that's going to look like in the future, and that they have that control. And so what we really strive to do, again, is to be able to give that opportunity to everybody, no matter whether you're just starting off in your career or if you're further along in your career. So from the technology side, we provide the tools to be able to give that visibility to our clients, to our advisors, to ultimately be able to provide that to end investors and provide it in a way that is consumable and meaningful, which is different for everybody. It could be online, it could be through paper, it could be through a telephone call or a Zoom call nowadays. But being able to provide that, again, in a way that they can really connect with their investors and be able to give that confidence and share that story so that, again, as an investor, you feel like you have control over your life and your financial decisions. And again, there's so much volatility, so much uncertainty today that I think it's more important than ever to have that confidence.
Absolutely. I mean, and this has been really a theme that you've been passionate about and you've been behind driving even prior to COVID, which has just highlighted it. So tell me why you've become passionate and how you think it perhaps creates a more inclusive environment for the industry and for women in particular.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because I think if you think about the landscape of who financial advisors are servicing, it is all inclusive. It isn't just predominantly men. It's men and women and people of all races and of all types. And so it's really important to be able to find that different connection across the different areas that we're working with. And so what that means is being able to, again, provide that information in different ways and to be able to think about things in different ways. The only way I think that we can really connect with all audiences is to have a really diverse set of individuals as part of our industry, as part of our teams. And that includes equal men and women and different races, because the more diversity you have, the more questions you ask, the different questions that you ask. And with different questions, you're going to get different answers. And so in doing it that way and in thinking about it that way, we then open up our opportunities to be able to reach out to more individuals because now we can connect at different levels. And now we can really appeal to all different types of people because we have that diverse range of questions. So I think personally, it's really important to have that gender equality because, again, you're really going to push yourselves to think about things differently and to figure out where, those stereotypes might still lie and be able to start to overcome those stereotypes so that you can actually create more innovation and start moving the industry, our company, innovation forward and appeal to a much broader audience.
I agree with that. As a matter of fact, Andina, I tell a story that years ago, I went into a financial advisor's office who happened to be my mom's financial advisor. And during that visit, he just looked at me and said, well, isn't part of your strategy to be remarried someday? Surely you're not planning to just be a single female for the rest of your life. And I was like, oh, that's odd. I would think that I can create my own wealth with or without a male. But it was just, I don't think he meant it in any intent. But I think the point you've made is by having a diverse workforce, you're going to ask different questions and have a different perspective to bring to the table that's going to produce a different outcome for your clients and allow you to have outreach to different clients. So I agree with that. I'd love to talk a little bit more about your background and how you got into financial services and talk about the technology aspect as a woman really being drawn to that.
Yeah, I actually started my first career out of college was at Reagan McKenzie. And so that's a local broker-dealer here in Seattle. And I started as an institutional equity sales trader. And so I was very much in the true, I call it financial industry at that point. So I worked very closely. I traveled a lot to New York and I worked really closely with our traders on the New York Stock Exchange. So part of that, it was a great experience. I really got a lot of visibility into the financial industry. I also got a lot of visibility into, let's call it that old school way of doing things. And so interestingly, there was a lot of experiences in that where a lot of those older veterans that had been in the industry for a long time, honestly, were not that excited about a young female out of college coming in and essentially taking over their territory. So I had a couple incidents actually where I was probably in not so nice of a term, but essentially told I didn't belong. And it was those kinds of defining moments. I'm sure just like the story you just told about that comment that the advisor made to you, I had a defining moment throughout that period of time. And unfortunately, I had a couple of mentors at Reagan McKenzie, one of them being a really strong female leader in our organization that really just said to me, you know what, now is the time to decide. If this is the career that you want, you need to realize that this is going to happen and it's how you move on from that. And, that really kind of gave me the drive and the confidence to be able to move forward and decide that this is the industry that I want to be in and this is what I want to fight to do. And so that was a pretty big realization for me and just the true dynamics between the male dominated industry really stood out for me in those moments. So then from there, and as part of my time at Reagan McKenzie, the industry was really changing. So the trading aspect was going a lot more from that broker on the New York Stock Exchange doing trades to a lot of digital trading. So I was starting to see that transformation, and I was actually starting to see a lot of the benefits of that because we were able to focus our more complex trading with our traders on the floor. And then the more standard, straightforward trades we could put through in an automated way through our technology. And so it really just kind of opened up our opportunities to be able to handle a lot more volume. And so I'd say that was really kind of the first indication for me that there was this potential of the industry changing and being able to take part of something more exciting, which eventually led me to Tamarac.
Thank you for that overview. And I want to go back for a moment to something you said, that in the earlier days of your career, there you are, a young woman, and you felt like you didn't belong. But fortunately, you had a mentor. But what the advice was, you need to have the confidence and drive, and you fortunately did. How did you find that internal confidence to stick with it when you're looking around saying, I just don't belong and I don't feel really welcome here? How do you overcome that?
I think a big part of it for me was knowing that I had the confidence of others. So I had people behind me that were giving me the reassurance that, hey, you know what? You're strong enough to do this. You're more than capable of doing this. You've made great decisions. You've made great career choices. You're leading a team. And so I think it was really having those people supporting me and the confidence. And I think that's really important. I think obviously having confidence in yourself is critical, but I think a support system around you is also as important, because it comes back to seeing things in different perspectives, and you can't always see everything. You can be blinded by what you see right in front of you. So having people around you that can provide those different perspectives, that confidence, that reassurance, and many times also the reality, you may be going down the wrong path, and having people there that can check you on that. I think that's really important. And I think that's really what got me to that next level.
And Dina, I believe too, you also do mentoring yourself, and you believe in taking personal responsibility and helping other women to have that support that you were fortunate enough to have in your career. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have done that over the years, and it's been really rewarding. And I think it probably started with my experience at Reagan McKenzie and having that mentorship myself. And I think it's just something that over the years, as I've managed people, it's been a natural progression to really work with them on ways to encourage and build out their career. And working with one young woman right now who had a lot of changes to her career as part of COVID, because she was directly responsible for live in-person events. So obviously with a lot of the changes, that changed drastically. And we've really worked together to figure out, okay, how do we embrace this? How do we look at the changing circumstances as a positive? And what's happened is she's really started to gain a lot more confidence and a lot more ownership in her own career, and being able to think about, okay, this is a transition time for me. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What am I passionate about? So it's been actually really exciting to work with her through this changing period, and see how much she has been able to grow and how much she's been able to really just take a hold of her own career and make some decisions on how to move forward.
I can hear the feeling in your voice about how happy that makes you. So that is amazing that you're willing to give that time and energy, because I think, again, myself as a woman in this type of role, I always believe in giving back as well, so that we can continue to support other women. I want to talk a little bit about what kind of internal programs Envestnet might have around developing women or diversity and inclusion within the culture of your company.
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of passion around that. Our CEO actually is very involved in a program where we are supporting diversity within colleges, and so that's something that we're really passionate about in supporting. We also have a number of programs within Envestnet where we are helping lift women up, but also just bring in diversity, not just with women, but of all ranges, to be able to be part of the company and be inclusive. One of the things that I think we have to really realize is that it's not going to happen. Gender equality, diversity, it's not going to just happen by itself. It's something that we have to take ownership of, and we have to be thinking about every single day in our jobs. When we're hiring new people, when we're thinking about how we want to implement something. It's something that we have to be proactively thinking about. And so a lot of that is visibility. So making sure that we are representing our company equally when we go to conferences, on boards, as a leadership team, within just every single one of our teams. And so the more and more we do that and the more visibility that we provide, attending podcasts like yours, is helping the cause a lot. And being on panels, all of those kinds of things where we can create more visibility for women. I think that's what's going to get us there. And that's where we really try to push forward within our company, is creating that visibility, creating that opportunity for women, and continue to support that and make that a driving factor of how we move forward with our business.
I love that you said your CEO supports a diverse environment and that you have programs for colleges as well. But what I really picked up on what you said, Andina, is that you ensure that you're represented equally when you're out at events. And, I'm sure I don't have to tell you how many times have we shown up at an event, and even we've produced events that we stop and think, are the panelists diverse? Are we doing a good job? Are we sending a diverse team out? And I think that's a real great takeaway for our listeners and for companies is, are you sending out the team that represents the culture you have and the culture you desire to have? Because even at recruitment events for universities, if they're not meeting with strong women who've succeeded, they're probably not going to be as inspired. Or if you're at a company event, as you mentioned. So that's a great initiative that you have internally. Fantastic. So then I guess in terms of results, so we all talk about how we need to do this, but tell me about the results you see specifically in the company's success by having more women and a more diverse workforce.
Yeah, it's tough because while there's a lot of work happening towards this initiative, we still have a long way to go. So while we would love to be able to say, or I would love to be able to say that we are now 50-50 men and women across the organization, we're not there yet, but we are getting there. And so what we're starting to see across our organization is, again, it's a lot more equality in terms of those numbers. So looking towards adding a lot more females, and a lot of it, as you mentioned, stems from getting that interest early on in, financial industry is typically male dominated, technology is typically male dominated. Yep. So as a result, we're in a male dominated industry with fintech. So it's really getting that visibility out there earlier in colleges, even high schools, and helping them realize that, hey, you know what? This is actually something that's really cool. This is something where you can make a difference. And this is something that you can be part of. And I mentioned it earlier, but it's a lot of times those stereotypes, that, technology is more suited for males, or finance is more suited for males, or whatever the stereotype might be. It's eliminating those stereotypes and really getting the women to understand that this is a really exciting opportunity. You can bring a different perspective and you will add value in this industry. And it's something that's worthwhile pursuing. And it's something that we want you to be part of.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, every person, when they take on a job or define a career path, they want to feel like they're adding value. And what you talked about earlier in the conversation is it can be hard to stay on that path by yourself if you feel like you don't belong. So all the things we talked about leaning into this, helping women, having that confidence and support system around you. And I think that the more our companies in the industry become diverse, we'll start to slowly work towards change. So it won't be like that in the future for our future young women who are wanting to come into the industry. So Andina, it's been great talking about everything from your personal journey to your personal passion around this. The fact that you work for a company that creates a culture around visibility at a young age at high school and college universities, around creating programs and ensuring that your company is represented equally at industry events, and all the mentorship work you do as well. So kudos to you. and to Envestnet for taking action and ensuring that this is everybody's responsibility and having the ambition and desire, because it starts there, to want to impact change. We really appreciate that. So I would like to ask you, as my final question, which I always do, is please tell me in your words why you believe her success matters.
I think her success matters because it's really only then that we can truly change the landscape of inclusion and diversity. Her success, or our success as women, means that we're able to provide that new perspective. We're removing those stereotypes. We're showing that we value the insights from all individuals, regardless of sex or race. And in order to really recognize those blind spots and move the organizations forward, that inclusion is critical. And so that's why her success matters in our industry, in every industry.
Well stated. So thank you so much for your contributions to the conversation, for your passion to this, and for being a guest on Her Success Matters.
Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Her Success Matters. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available, and share this podcast with others that believe her success matters.